Morocco is located in North Africa in one of the most arid regions on the planet, and it's already being hit hard by climate change. By 2030, increasing erratic weather patterns will dramatically decrease its water supplies, likely forcing many, especially young people and their families and livelihoods, into risk. Supporting young dryland farmers to manage and reduce the risks of a changing climate is one way to ensure they can build their own future livelihoods at their own homes. It can also help draw valuable lessons for helping other communities deal with the adverse impacts of climate change. A recent study in Midelt province by the CGIAR research program on dryland system set out to examine the aspirations of young Moroccans in the face of such challenges. It unearthed results which some may find surprising. The overwhelming conclusion is many of these young farmers want to stay home rather than look for jobs in the city. They want to own and farm their lands, but they are in desperate need to have the means and access to technologies to modernize their farms so that they can make a decent living and raise their future families. In Morocco's case, if these powerful yet simple aspirations can be turned into a sustainable reality, this could also help fulfill the country's climate adaptation strategy. The reality, however, for these young dryland farmers is still far from their dreams. These are some of their stories. Going south from Midelt toward the Sahara Desert is the village of Zebzat. It's perched on a bluff and overlooks a vast tract of tribal land that communally belongs to members of the village. Mustafa, aged 25, has a dream to turn some of this land into a viable farm.
نحاول منه إن شاء الله هذه عايد ويا هذه جيس كلها نعايد نتعشى الحاج سوي نكني يعايد نتفع الخضر إن شاء الله بران دو شوي غرداد.
Mustafa dropped out of high school in his third year to help his father with the farm.
أنت جيت فلاح تا شوي النفصار أنت جاي ردن أنت جا الضراب كل حاجة دايس أنت جا شوي لقطنس الليل مشماش الزيتون واخا تنياول ولا دايتار وشي في مزيرته ففلاح راك تقضي شيء يلمدخولنس معنا ذا اختاسي ورتغا ذا اختاسي انت عوانسي برا شان الخدامي شان يمشي دارا نعاون له.
Small farms in the drylands typically don't meet the family's yearly expenses without extra income from non-farming activity. Additional land to cultivate plus modern technology are needed to make these farms more profitable. For Mustafa and his family, they are about to get a chance to realize their dream. In about 6 months, they will be given title to an additional 2.5 hectares when the tribal lands are distributed amongst the villagers. Mustafa's father is placing these lands, plus another 2.5 hectares rented from neighbors, into his hands to build a modern farm.
5 هكتار هاد تتزرع هاد مش تقوم مزيان هاد في الخير والبركة هاد الزنزغر التويد غلاس واقد.
But the reality of making a successful farm from a dry landscape of limited resources and with very little capital is something else entirely. So Mustafa seeks out some professional help. West of Midelt in the famous apple-producing city of Bomia. Mr. Mohammed Haki is the president of the Midelt Apple Growers Society. He aspires the Midelt apple will one day come to hold a unique position in the pantheon of world apples.
إذا من بين الأهداف اللي حنا كنطمحوا ليها وحنا كنحلموا بها ومن حقنا نحلموا بها على حقاش لأن التفاحة ديال ميدالت عندها الخصائص باش تكون تفاحة ذو جودة عالية ونتمنوا أنها تكون التفاحة الرابعة على الصعيد العالمي بعد ماذا؟ بعد تفاحة آدم وتفاحة كتجي في الجوجة تفاحة نيوتن اللي حققت ثورة في الفيزياء ومن موراها تفاحة ديال شركة أبل وتفاحة ميدالت إن شاء الله تكون هي التفاحة الرابعة اللي غتخلق ثورة في العالم.
Besides getting the Midelt apple at some point to conquer the world, Another passion of his is helping young farmers like Mustafa.
بالنسبه لنا الدوله راه كتبغي الطاقات الشابه بحالك، والحمد لله وزاره الفلاحه في اطار مخطط المغرب الاخضر راه عطات الامتيازات للفلاح اللي جعلوه باش انه يتشجع.
Mr. Aki shows him a model farm whose owner, like Mustafa, had almost nothing when he started out and benefited from funding support from the government.
اولا الا انت فلاح صغير اللي عندك اقل من 5 الهكتارات، بحال بالنسبه للكوتاكوت الدوله غادي تمول لك داك الشيء 100%. بالنسبه للشباك الواقيه اللي هو ديال على حسب التبروري، تقدر الدوله كتعطي واحد السقف ديال 5 المليون في الهكتار. وكاينين حتى بالنسبه للاحواض المائيه بحال هادو، والدوله كتعطي حتى هي على الاعانات على حساب الدراسه اللي درتي لذاك المشروع ديالك وغادي تستافد.
Providing farmers with more efficient reservoirs, irrigation networks, and drip irrigation are all part of the government's plan to reduce the impact of climate change on its people and environment. His brain filled with big dreams of agricultural success, Mustafa returns home to tell his father what he's learned and to get his blessing to start developing a business plan. About a half-hour's drive from the center of Midelt, at the end of an unpaved road, lies the village of Tesweed. It's a rugged and dramatic landscape. Hussan, age 35, has a different story than Mustafa. He left his village as a teenager to find employment in the city.
مشينا الخدمه ديال المدن ما كيبقاليش، كياكل الكرا وسميتو الماكله واحد النص، كيبقى لي النص. كتجي لهنايا عاوتاني كتعطي المولي ديك اللي حقاش كتعرف ماشي ناس بوس، كتعطي واحد شويه كتشدي واحد شويه عاوتاني راسك.
Frustrated with his life, Hussan decided to return to his village and try and support himself entirely by working the family farm. He mostly grows apples to sell.
لقيته مثلا ديال النقيش كيعاونوا، لقيته ديال لاطاي كيعاونوا، حتى مليون ونص، مليون و140 بحال هكا.
This year, however, is turning out badly. Unpredictable weather has been a disaster for his apple harvest.
هاد العام عاوتاني قلت ما كاينش تفاح، قليل التفاح، وعطانا واحد شويه جات التبروري، ياك فهمتي؟ يعني دا كاع داك الحلم اللي كتبغي انت كيكونوا الافات ولا الافات النيت، حتى ملي يكون الرخاء راه الافات هذاك. قلتهم انا بمليون و50، فهمتي؟ كمليتهم بمليون و50، الجريده عطاتني 60,000 ريال دابا في الغله ديالها.
Hail is a frequent occurrence because of the region's unique microclimate. To protect their crops, many farmers cover their apple trees with a modern protective mesh. Hussan is aware of this. Unfortunately, he has no capital to invest in such coverings. Like Mustafa, he is also aware of the government programs available to help small farmers like himself. But so far, he is only at the very early stages of applying for help. For this season, anyway, Hussan will harvest what's left of his apples and try to find a buyer willing to take them for jam. If not, he will feed them to the livestock. Back in Zebzat village, we meet up with a young student determined to help her village tackle a serious environmental problem.
السلام عليكم، أنا سميتي نادية وهذا هو الدوار ديالي فاش كبرت، وأنا حاليا طالبة في شعبة الجغرافيا في مكناس.
Nadia is home for the weekend to visit her parents and to enjoy the rural lifestyle after the fast pace of the big city where she's going to school.
هذه الجارة ديالنا كشتيها هنايا في الساقية كتغسل الصوفة، هاد الصوفة ديال الخرفان، من بعد ما كتغسلها تغسلها وتتقاد بها كطيفة ولا أبا كنقولوا أبا الراشن وداك الحليب باش يتغطاو. وهذا الشيء باش عايشين هنايا في البلاد.
When she completes her degree, she plans to return to the village and help modernize its agriculture.
واخا هاد الزردة هادي ديال المشماش هي ديال والديا وورثناها ابا عن جد، وتقريبا تكون عندها شي 100 عام. واخا هاد المشماش هذا هو الانتاج ديالو تيكون مره واحده في العام، وبالنسبه للشاري تيجي تيشوف يعني تيشريه بالشجره. بالنسبه للشريب ديال الشجر كنسقيو بالساقيه، يعني الساقي ديالنا تقليدي ما كاينش الكوتاكوت، كنجيبوه بالساقيه صافي وكنسقيو شجره بشجره.
These days, having enough water for crop use in Zebzat village is a problem. In the recent past, however, that wasn't the case. This woman explains what the problem is.
كيفاش كان عندنا الماء هنايا في البلاد بكثره، كانوا بحال هذا العين هذا كان شحال هذه، يعني المنسوب المياه فيه كثير لدرجه انه كيسقي مساحات كبار ديال الاراضي، ولكن من بعد فاش وقع شي مشكل لصحاب ميدلت وما عندهمش الماء اللي جاو خداوينا حنا الماء ديالنا، يبس داك يعني المنبع الرئيسي.
After the village complained, the authorities drilled an additional well and supplied a solar-powered pump. But two problems quickly developed. The well didn't provide enough water, and the solar-powered pump had to be connected to the grid at night, running up a power bill the village had to pay, an obligation they never had before.
وانا ان شاء الله غنكمل قرايتي وناخذ الماستر ديالي في شعبات الجغرافيا مسار البيئه، وإلا تحت لي فرصه وانني غنخدم ونشد شي بوست اللي عنده علاقه بالمجال ديالي، اكيد انني غنحاول نرد المال للقبيله ديالي والبلاد ديالي اللي انا عشت فيه.
The water situation that Nadia faces at Zebzat village is a complex environmental, social, and economic problem that will only get worse as climate change reduces the country's overall water supplies. Mustafa, Hussein, and Nadia have great ideas and powerful aspirations, and they are eager to help transform Morocco's drylands agriculture, even with the risks related to a changing climate. But in order for them to do so, they need access to land, capital, and training. After all, they will inherit the earth.